So a quadratic that's a trinomial would look like this. A x squareds, b x's, and c. Okay, that's the foundational way to write a quadratic equation. So A is saying the number of x squareds. That's what it's really meaning. Okay, so B is therefore telling us the number of x's, and C is just a constant number. Okay, so a constant is something that has no variables because it doesn't vary. It doesn't have a variable. Constant. Now, here's this formula. So you would be given a formula from me. In a formula, when you see this, it means do the opposite. So 5 would turn into -5. That's an opposite. That's what it means. -12 would turn into +12. You just do the opposite of whatever you have. Okay, so if you have a negative, right there it will be positive. If you have a positive, it'll be negative. Okay, and when you square something, it's always, what's true about squaring something? It's always going to be always positive. Always. Because what happens if you take a negative times a negative? Plus. What happens if you take a plus times a plus? Plus. Okay. If you type this into your calculator, it's wrong. It's not good. That's wrong. Why is that wrong? Because you're telling your calculator to do -1 times 5 times 5. That's what your calculator wants you to do. Okay? What's a way to correct my typing into calculator? Okay? So this time, I'm really making my calculator do -5 times -5, which is a square. Do you see a difference in math? Because BEDMAS here says square this, then times it by -1. And then BEDMAS here says square this whole thing. Okay, so here we go. First equation. So A is how many x squareds? 2. B is how many x's? -3. And C is -4. We will, but we're going to write it out here. Okay, so now I'm going to replace. What's the opposite of my B number? Opposite of it. +3. Okay, you don't have to write positive. I'm just putting it in there for you to see that, though. Like, visualize it. Plus or subtract the square root of, what's B squared? If you could square that. 9. Subtract 4 times A, so that's 2, times C, which is -4, divide by 2 times the A number, which is 2. This thing, opposite of my B number. So here, and then I'm opposite. Yeah, because this had -3, so I'm going to be +3. Okay, so here's what you're going to write. Okay, keep the 3. Can you make the bottom 4? Does that make sense? Find the square root of. We're going to figure that out. Okay, going to your calculator. Ready? I'm going to go 9 subtract 4 times 2 times negative 4. Okay, if some of you hadn't have put 9 and you were doing that, okay, see how that would have been okay too? Okay, here's where, when I see a mistake, here's where it happens. Do you see my mistake? Remember this? That's going to cause a mistake. That's a mistake. Okay, got it? Mistake. Don't make that mistake. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put 41. Okay, so we're going to go to our calculator to get these numbers. So here we go. This is how I'm looking in my calculator. I'm going to go 3 plus the square root of 41 and then divide by 4. But I have to make sure there's brackets around that in a way that it's going to say all this top divided by 4. Okay, remember when we did cosine law? You had to go like all the top divided by all the bottom. Okay, this calculator is a brackety calculator. So here's what's going to happen. It's going to make an extra set of brackets on that, I believe, right? So you're going to need bracket, 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 bracket. Does that make sense? You're going to have to go bracket and then another bracket. $2.35? You don't have to use this calculator for this, no. Bracket, bracket? Do you look exactly like me?
Why do you have the bracket outside the 3?
Because I want to say, hey, this whole top family.
Okay, I'll try that.
So you have to have that, like to say this contained top. Divide by 4. Okay, you want to know my trick to not typing this again. Okay, here's my trick. Ready? Can you go second enter? Hit second enter. Guess what? It comes back onto your screen. Did everybody get it back onto their screen? Second enter. Now can you move your cursor? Move your cursor over to the add. And now can you hit subtract? So second enter just brings it back to your screen, and you can just go change the plus to a subtract.
Why is it double bracket thing?
Because this calculator specifically puts a bracket around the square root value. So you need a bracket around the 41. Then you also need to have a bracket around the top family.
So you always need a bracket.
This calculator is a brackety calculator. Okay? Like my normal calculator, I wouldn't have had to do that.
So I have to type all the brackets. Like you have to have the bracket.
See this calculator? I don't have a bracket because the 41, it didn't have a bracket here. Do you guys see the difference between a brackety calculator? As soon as I push the square root, it just inserted a bracket, so I have to do it. Okay, my old calculator, not brackety. Okay, how did it go? Are we there? Okay, go to your y equals 2x squared, subtract 3x, subtract 4. Type in the equation. What? This is it. Good? Everyone's got the equation typed in? Graph it. let's just check this answer. We can check both, but let's just practice one of them. Can you get me this value right here? Give me that number. Second, calculate the 0, left, right. Haha, did anybody match? Ooh, negative 0.85. Oh. Okay. Okay, you guys are on a test. If I make you use the quadratic formula, you can use this also to check your answers, right? You have to show me this work. Okay. Let's go 2 more. Here we go. A. How many x squareds? That's the question. I only have 1. B. How many x's? 12. C. How many numbers? 36. Here's the formula. Opposite B, opposite. So this was 12, so I'm going to write negative 12 there. Okay? Inside the square root, I need, hey, what's B squared? So what's this number getting squared going to be? Make sure it's positive. 144. B squared is 144. Even if you type it into your calculator wrong, make sure you're writing a plus, whatever you square. Subtract 4, bracket 1, bracket 36. 4AC. Divide by 2, 1. I'm going to do this already. Negative 12 plus or minus some kind of root over 2. Okay, so to follow the format, this is how I would be in my calculator, but there's something just to think about. What's the square root of 0? 0. Can I just like do this in my own head? Aren't those answers just going to be the same thing? Negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. Now, we're going to verify it with the calculator and factoring. Okay, so factoring verification, that's what it wants us to do. Here we go. Simple trinomial. X times x gets me to that x squared. What times what will be 36 and add to 12? You got two numbers that would multiply to 36 and add up to 12. Plus 6 would 6 times 6, 6 add 6. So what's the solution for x? Negative 6. Also here, negative 6. Okay, quick calculator check. Okay, if you want to save time, you can just watch mine. Okay, just looking at mine, here's my equation. Boom, type in, ready, graph. Oh, what do you think about just being negative 6? Does it look inappropriate? Look at that. Only hitting on that one time, okay? Okay, here's a little bit of a trick. Okay, how many x squareds do you see? Tricking you, tricking you. How many x squareds are there? -1. Don't look at the front. You can't look at the front. I didn't put this one in order. I mixed it all up. So B, what are you going to pick as your B number then? -6. And what are you going to pick as your C number? 9. X equals. Yeah, I mixed it up. I tricked you like that. I'm going to trick you. Okay, opposite. So I'm going to write a +6 there. Add or subtract the square root of. I'm going to write 36 because I already know what this square root is going to be, 36.
Why is A -1?
How many x squareds are there? How many x squareds are there?
Those are the last 2 questions.
How many x squareds do you see? -1.
Why not 9?
Because 9, it's not about first, second, third. It's about how many x squareds, how many x's, how many just numbers. That's always the order. Like, if you wanted to rewrite this, you could go -x squared subtract 6x plus 9. That's the order. I mixed it though. Do you see it? Okay, opposite B, plus minus the square root of b squared, subtract 4, -1, 9. All over 2, -1. Okay? This is me literally just copying things into a formula. X equals 6 plus minus square root something over -2. 72? Okay. So here's your look. Ready? Bracket. 6 plus root 72, bracket, bracket. Divide by -2. Does everybody's look like that? It's good? See my bracket, bracket? -7.24 is one of the x-intercepts. This is what this is all about. It's an x-intercept. Yep, not giving that. If you can root a positive number, there's going to end up being 2 different values because you're doing 2 things. Okay. If you're rooting 0 here, that actually only produced 1, because if you add the root of 0, subtract the root of 0, that's not going to do anything 2 different things. And then you're going to learn one more thing in the next question, psst, by the way. Okay, how do I quickly just get this into my calculator again to avoid typing it? Second enter. Scroll back. I don't want to add this time. I'm going to hit subtract equals. There's my 2 x-intercepts. So I'm not going to graph this one to save time, but here, quick. 1.24 is like there. -7.24 is there. Why did I draw this upside down? Because it's a -x squared. Okay, very last one. A, B, C. X equals opposite. So +6, +6, opposite. Add, subtract the square root of if this b is squared, 36, subtract 4, negative 2, negative 5, 2, negative 2. Okay, calculator, just what is this like value under here? 36, subtract 4 times negative 2 times negative 5. I got negative 4. Ay, 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 what do we know about this situation in math? What do you do with square rooting negatives? You can't. Can't square root a negative. Because the square root is opposite of squaring. What are you ever going to square to make negative? You can't square anything to be negative, right? What do two negative numbers square to be? Positive. What do two positives square? Positive. So this is not possible. So guess how many x-intercepts are going to be? We're going to write that there's no x-intercepts. Ready? Here is my y equals graph of it. Look at, where are the x-intercepts? Nowhere to be seen. There's never going to be one. That's a possibility. Okay? So there, when Michelle asked the question of how many x-intercepts do you know are going to happen? Well, if this is negative, there are going to be no x-intercepts. If this is positive, there's going to be 2. But if this was 0, there was only 1.